And now, Pheasant Beak!
Hey everybody, Bam Collectibles here, back for another statue unboxing review for you. Rarely, if ever, do I talk about a box for a statue, but they have these snowflakes that are embossed on the outside. They have a glossy feel to them. It just properly represents the character of Kuzan Aokiji so well. This is a licensed one-piece statue made by the company Jimei Palace, and let me tell you, this has to be one of the most epic and highest quality statues I have ever had the opportunity to review and see with my two eyes. This base is super heavy, and I was a little scared to put it on top of my glass Lazy Susan, but thankfully no harm came to it. But what an incredible looking base just right off the bat. To the left in the nameplate, you'll see some ice that's dripping down and all these amazing spikes of ice just shooting off the sides. If we flip it around to the back, we will see the power switch. It's both an AC adapter and also an on and off flip switch. Because the base is so heavy, I can't do what I normally do, which is hold it up to the camera. So I'm going to get some zoomed in shots so you can see all these details. The snow all throughout this statue has somewhat of a sandpaper feel to it. It's really textured while the ice is nice and smooth. In the center where that square is, that is where the very bright LEDs are housed. I was scared that this ice spike was going to hit my camera, but it did not. And if we look at this rock, it looks very realistic and nice with some snow accent on top as well. Lastly, I'll point out that all throughout the gold rim of the base, you'll see some cracks in there. Those are actually crevices in which the LEDs will shine through later on. The main ability to be showcased in this statue is Ice Block Pheasant Beak, which is basically a giant ice pheasant, and it serves as the backbone of this very statue. The ice texture looks just as amazing as it did on the base, and if we flip this over to the bottom, we'll see the notch that's used to connect it to the base, as well as the steel rod. Those two mixed together allow this to securely sit on the base without a concern. Here we have an effect piece that belongs on the base that was sculpted separately. It's an Arctic wind or Arctic dusting piece. We can see a nice realistic looking rock there. And on the very bottom, it actually attaches to the base via a square magnet. I usually see round magnets, but for some reason this one is square. But we'll go ahead and attach that on here. There's another effect piece that was sculpted separately. In the beginning, I did use Kuzan's English dub voice actor, and that is for a reason, because of a special guest coming up.
Hey, it's a big shout out to Brian and all the followers at BAM Collectibles. I am so excited that today Brian is unveiling a brand new Aokiji Kuzan collectible statue. You know, if he were here, he would probably say something like, well, just about a statue. Somebody made a statue of me. Yeah. Can't believe I woke up for this. Well, look. Why would anybody do that? I'm just a guy that likes a nap and catching a few tasty waves. But whatever floats your boat, man. All right. I'll be in the hot tub. I don't know, maybe he would say something like that. But anyway, thanks, and enjoy the unboxing. I can't wait to see this myself. And remember, you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook. You can also find me on Twitter as Mr. Jason Douglas, and I hope you'll connect. Hope to see some of you soon. And thanks, Brian, for reaching out. All the best.
So cool to have Jason on the channel, and thank you so much for taking the time to say hello to my awesome subscribers. Kuzan's character sculpt on this statue has to be one of the greatest sculptings I've ever seen, bringing a character from 2D to 3D like this. Multiple pieces were sculpted separately, but I did attach them beforehand. A character's likeness and paint application alone is a feat, but look at all the different frosting effects that they have all throughout his body, from his head to his arms to his legs. And then if we go and look at his left hand, this iced over one, it is so incredible the detail that they did with it being a mixture of clear resin and painted. I love how his pose isn't too flashy and it's dynamic enough that represents his calm-natured character. To not risk having any parts knocked off or falling off, I did remove them for this assembly process. For those that will own this piece, the right arm does need to be added on before we install the jacket. Speaking of which, this thing is huge and dynamic. If you see all the nice shading all throughout on the blues, and then we have on the whites on the back, there's some nice grays. All the paint job is just so masterful. The gold shoulder tassels are a bit fragile. I think they're made of plastic or PVC. Underneath of them are these little notches in which the coat jacket arms will be installed on separately. You got to be very careful when you're installing this jacket because it's so big and it has to wrap around that right arm, and you don't want to paint rub off each other. I did want to point out for this Arctic wind or dusting effect, it looks like a steel rod's here, but it's actually an AC adapter plug that runs all the way from the bottom up to the top, where we'll see a special LED that's used to illuminate the very top of the Pheasant. I had to be extremely careful when installing this because you have to make sure it's plugged in first, and when you go to put the top portion in, you almost have to actually pick up and lift the Pheasant a little bit to get it into place so that the magnet and LEDs line up. This next piece reminds me of that kiddie game, Operation, as you have to be very careful when sliding it around the back because there's so many different things that the paint could rub up against. Another cool part of this statue is it does showcase two different abilities, the second being Ice Block Partisan, which has 3 different spears or pikes, whichever you want to call it. All 3 are mounted to the statue with these steel rods. Going to take a step back to install these massive wings. These are 100% one of my favorite parts of the statue. You can see the amazing shading that goes from top to bottom with that dark blue, and it goes into more of a very light blue or clear resin. Ever since I started to collect higher end statues, I will admit that clear resin is like a weakness of mine. I absolutely love them. In the Naruto universe, they usually come in the form of Susanos or Susanos, and man, every time I see them, they just drop my jaw. I love the craftsmanship that's involved in clear resin. It's about that time to dim these lights and show you what these LEDs are made of. Upon flipping that switch on for the first time for me, I had to pick my jaw up off the floor. First off, the pulsating effect is a nice touch, but the overall brightness of the LEDs is where it got me. Just when I thought it got to its point where maybe it's at its brightest, it's like it took it up another few levels and made it even more brighter. It's just one of the most vibrant looking LED systems inside of a clear resin statue that I have ever seen. I'm so impressed how it comes all throughout the top of the Pheasant, all throughout the bottom of the base, around the trim of the base. It's just so incredible. As I mentioned before, the cracks around the round trim on the base do light up. I've never seen that done before in a statue, and it's just so cool how they added that. Even with my studio lights turned back on, you can see how overwhelming this blue light is inside. Included with the statue is a paper COA or Certificate of Authenticity with this awesome envelope and golden wax seal. I have to be very careful when ripping this off. I can't just do it with my fingers because I do not want to damage that seal. It just looks too cool. I've seen many C of A's before, but this one has to be one of the most professional and classy looking, with the edition size on the front, number 311 out of 500. You have all sorts of different information on there, from the authenticity sticker right there, the 3D artist who signed the name, the actual character name, the studio name. It's just an incredible and well done certificate of authenticity. It also comes with this steel slab edition size plaque, which has a silhouette of Kuzan on the front and also the edition size actual number on the back. If that wasn't enough, they also included an acrylic stand for it to rest on when displaying with the statue. Also included is some white gloves for you to use when unboxing, so you don't have to handle the statue with your hands. They were a bit slippery, so I didn't use them for this unboxing. Also is included a dusting brush you can use to clean out dust if it gets in any of the crevices of the statues. Really over-the-top extras that they added for this piece. For anyone that got this statue when it was released, they paid around $1,000, and now they are sitting on an amazing investment because it is sold earlier this month of June for over $3,200. When people ask the question, "Yo, Bam, how can you afford this hobby?" This statue is a prime example of how sometimes when you collect, they gain a lot more value than you initially paid, and it helps you stay in the hobby if you do eventually to decide to sell them. As much as I'd like to say this statue is mine, it is not. Special thanks to my friend Kevin, who allowed me the opportunity to showcase this to the channel. And seriously, congrats on owning such a holy grail of a one-piece statue. Also, a special thanks to all of my members of the channel. If you have not taken the time to check out memberships, please do so. It's because of amazing people like you that I can take things the extra level and go ahead and pursue getting voice actors in videos to be able to showcase and say hi to everybody on the channel. I will never forget this statue unboxing. This has been one of the absolute most impressive statues I've ever had the opportunity to showcase. Thanks for tagging along for the ride. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, everybody, do what you love and love what you do. Bam out.